Oh, fun. Okay. All right, welcome. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Agenda review and disposition, is there anything to add to the agenda?
Just under other business, the August meeting I'd like to schedule or confirm, and then lunch price increases.
Okay. All right, minutes of May 1st, 2023.
My only comment was under the school safety part on page 2. It did say about the fifth line down, the administration noted the need for more immediate and specific communication when possible. I was just wondering, was that more
Communication with parents.
with the parents?
With the community, with the community.
Parents and community. I think that should be noted because you guys were all communicating great. So
Yeah.
I just thought that might be a point.
Thank you.
of
And
reference.
then, under privilege of the floor number 1, Melissa Quarry's name is spelled wrong in the second time that she's mentioned.
2 hours needed?
Huh?
Is it need
2 hours, yes. Is there anything else that you guys need to?
Go on.
So just a motion with the change.
I make a motion with the changes.
Second.
All in favor of the minutes with the changes noted?
Aye.
Perfect, thank you. Principals report.
Somewhat short principals report, even though it's the end of the year. Wanted to let you know that our kindergarten enrollment for next year is still at 24. That's a number we watch very closely because it's a determinant of class size and how many sections we're going to have. That's about where it is usually at this time of year. You know, currently, as you know, we have class sizes, grade level sizes between 32 and about 50. So we certainly are expecting more kindergartners for next year. Please spread the word to anyone in your community or neighborhoods so that people register earlier than late August. That's a win for us when people register early.
Tanya, quick question. Because they're, like, I think the Montessori school has kindergarten and there's a charter school, so do those, does that?
I'm not sure the charter school does.
First
No.
grade.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
nature-based one, that's always been
First,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so does that then impact your numbers for first grade?
It can both ways.
Okay,
Um,
but you have.
Not significantly.
Not significantly.
Okay.
Plymouth doesn't seem to have a significant number of enrollees at the charter school.
Okay.
And different, every year it's different with the Montessori enrollment. You know,
Okay.
at some periods of time, there are 4 or 5 families over there, and then other times there's not a lot. But we've reached out to all of the area
so you're
partners,
aware of
or,
those.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Also wanted to let you know that since the last board meeting, we have decided to make a teaching assignment change. Mrs. Como is going to be a 3rd grade teacher, and Mr. Cushing is going to move to 1st grade. So that's a change since the last board meeting. In some exciting school happenings, as you may be aware, the Scripps Spelling Bee, National Spelling Bee, occurred last week. Iris Lamoureux represented PES and the state of New Hampshire and Washington, D.C. She made it through the first round and did drop in the second round, but she made us all extremely proud. It was really fun to be in the building because we had it streaming in a couple different places. The middle schoolers were watching. We had it up here for a little while on computers. It was really fun for the kids to see that level of competition and that level of success, and to, where is Washington, D.C., and what are they going to do at night? And, you know, it's just that incidental learning that happened as a piece of that. So thank you to Iris for exposing us all to that adventure. Then, in news this weekend, the PES Middle School Band and Chorus traveled to the Great East Music Festival, where they performed and were rated on a number of skills. And the chorus earned gold recognition, which is outstanding, but more exciting was that the band, for the first time under Mr. Stevens' coaching and conducting, earned the highest honor possible, which is platinum. So, extremely proud of the band and Mr. Stevens. So, huge shout out to all of those folks. Mr. Stevens was a guest this morning on PES News, so that we again got to talk to the kids about what it means to go to a music festival and perform, and what you're rated on, and what it takes to be successful at that level, and in terms of practicing. So that was another opportunity for learning. Spring assessments are mostly complete, just 6th grade finishing up with SAS testing this week. Our preliminary scores do show some growth from last year, so that's exciting. We're very looking forward to looking at those more closely to see how we did and set some goals for the building for the next 3 to 5 years. So,
Do you put school averages online at all? Just curious.
not yet. They'll come out in mid-August. The writing, the grading, or the writing scores haven't all come back, so they're incomplete at this point
For SAS.
for SAS.
Yeah, and it's still within the proctoring window, so typically.
But when it's all done, they get posted.
I wanted to take a quick moment to just draw attention to the fact that the Surgeon General posted or sent out an advisory on the effects of social media and the effects specifically on the youth mental health. And the building will be spending some time looking at that in the fall, and the wellness committee has decided to make social media another theme for next year, social media use. We're really concerned about the amount of social media use in the nation, obviously, but this is where we live, so we're going to talk about it in our community. If you have not seen it, it's worth reading and talking about with your teenagers and your young children. Wanted to give you an update or information about the ASK program. So ASK is our before school program, academically supporting kids. And Mrs. Cleary runs that program. She is here today. She's here most days before 7 a.m. to help kids get in the building and support kids in the morning. So we had 82 students registered for ASK this year. It's all grant funded. And it's a Monday through Friday program from 7:30 to 8:25. Our range of students any given day was 43 to 56 students. The K2 group averaged 13 students a day, and both the 3 to 5 group and the 6 to 8 group averaged 20 students a day. We also ran an after-school program 2 days a week for some academic support just for our middle schoolers. And we averaged about 10 students a day in that after-school program, which is also an hour from 3 to 4. We were extremely fortunate and grateful to have 9 certified teachers come in or stay late to make that happen, and 6 paraprofessionals. So that is a crew of people on any given day. You sort of never know how many kids or what the task's going to be, and they do a phenomenal job.
And which grant is it?
It is one of the title grants. The program provides an academic space, but also a quiet space to read. We have one student who comes in every morning to avidly read her book for an hour, I think, every single morning. We develop academic habits with those students, executive functioning tasks, the kids work on skill building, and there's sort of a gentle social emotional component too, where you get to hang out with kids not in your homeroom. So it's a nice adventure. New this year, we were able to add some physical activity in the morning 2 days a week, where kids went for a walk or went into the gymnasium and played different activities in there. The program is 100% grant funded. We are very much looking forward or hopeful that it will continue to be funded for the years for next year. We won't really know. We assume it will be, but we don't know until August. And all of those statistics were generated by Mrs. Stock's sixth grade math students. So they took all of the data from the year for this report to you, the school board. So thank you to the sixth grade for running those numbers for us.
The title grant, is that a federal grant? Or is that...
Entitlement grants, yeah, so it's either Title I, Title II, or Title IV. So,
And that you sign up for in the fall, correct?
Correct.
And it's not, this wasn't just to make up for losses during COVID. The title grant is just,
It's ongoing.
it's ongoing.
And one of the assistant superintendent writes those grants.
Mm-hmm.
Pam.
Yes. Student shout outs in third grade. Aiden Drown, who is new to PES, won a CARE award last month. And to say this building, this young man deserved this in such a beautiful way. So shout out to Aiden Drown. And then in fourth grade, Lizzie Sunderland, who also earned a CARE award last month. In the front office, I would like to shout out Candace Petz, Kathy Reese, and Jenny Lee during assessments, because some people, we did treat bags for everyone who was testing, and they, and Chrissy Simmons. So every day that the kids tested, they got a positive message and a cheese stick and a clementine and some Lifesavers and Smarties. So the front office staff did an awesome job with that, because yeah, it was awesome. I wanted to let you know that Kelly and I are meeting with each teacher or specialist for short individual end of the year reflection meetings this week and next week. We began those today. We asked for highlights and challenges and reflections on the climate and culture in the building, and request feedback for the two of us. So it's a nice way to end the year.
Is that with all staff or just teachers?
Teachers and specialists.
Okay.
They're about 15 minutes, and it's, you know, it's short, but it's
good.
It's good.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Then I wanted to remind everyone that there's a PTA meeting this Wednesday night here in the library at 6:30 p.m. Please tune in to that. And finally, I just wanted to make people aware of some of the end of the year events. As you can see, the book fair is set up for today, or for tomorrow and the next day. And very excitingly, tomorrow night is the Gathering of Gratitude from 5 to 7. So from 5 to 6, the classrooms will be open. Please come and walk around, see the children's hard work. And then out on the playground, the Common Man Family of Restaurants is doing food for us again. And then the kids can play on the playground, and our jazz band will be playing from about 6 to 7. We have a number of field trips coming up. Second grade's going to Wellington Beach. Fifth grade's going to the Plymouth Airport and Quincy Bog. Fourth grade's going to the Museum of the White Mountains. Third grade's going downtown on a walking history tour. Thursday, fifth grade goes to Cardigan Mountain for an overnight at the AMC hut. Eighth grade will go Thursday and Friday to Montreal on their trip. Also on Friday, the fourth grade will go over to the Montshire Museum. So lots of things going on. Next week, on Monday, we moved the middle school backyard party to Monday from 1 to 3 during the school day. It was pouring rain on Friday night. It would not have been a good time to be outside. On the 14th, the grade 4 is going to the beach. On the 14th, we also will have the primary wing field day, where the older kids run all those activities for the younger kids. And then Thursday, June 15th at 6 p.m. here in our gymnasium is graduation for the 8th grade. And June 16th, a week from Friday, is the last school day. It's a noon dismissal half day. So that is my update. Kelly?
I actually might be a little bit longer, surprising. But I just wanted to make sure that I thanked a lot of people who are deserving of it. So starting with our Joint Loss and Safety Committee, a huge thank you to all of those faculty members that serve on that safety committee. Truly appreciate their group effort and just all the support in trying to help keep our school and all of its members in it safe. This year, our members completed another FEMA course through the Online Emergency Management Institute. We held a total of 12 drills to meet the state requirements, including 8 fire drills, 2 secure classroom drills, and 2 bus evacuation drills. We are in the process of trying to arrange another ALICE training, which stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Counter, and Evacuate for faculty and staff. And I guess it was a week ago, Barbara Pope and myself attended a threat assessment training over at Plymouth Regional High School. And that's essentially a training to help schools improve their awareness, evaluation, and response to a variety of school threats. Many thanks also to our police, Plymouth Fire and Police Departments for their continued support, assistance with our drills and training, and just making overall connections with our school to promote safety within our school and our community. We really appreciate them. In terms of athletics, our spring sports went off really well. Thanks to Mother Nature, not too many schedule changes at all this spring, which is great on my part. I like that. We had over 80 students involved in baseball, softball, and track and field combined. Had some competitive games with both baseball and softball teams. Continued to see improvements, solid plays on the field, and with the bats. Our track team closed out the spring season with their final event at the Lakes Region Championship held at Winnisquam High School. Back on May 23rd, our girls team finished second overall out of 18 teams, and the boys team finished third, just 3 points out of second place out of 17 teams. So great job by all. Just wanted to list off quickly some of those students who did contribute to the scoring of the teams. They had to finish in the top 8 to gain points towards their team. Those folks included Iris Lamoureux, Parker Tyrell, Emma Dutel, Taylor Jewett-Morin, Rachel Downing-Santos, Abigail Krangle, Alex Sirkabi, Wes Thompson, Patrick Youngs, Sam Youngs, Zealand Stocklosa, Ryder Francis, Nico Furbish, and Isaac Ahern. Were all point contributors. A few standout results, and these folks are moving on to the Meet of Champions, which is held tomorrow at Manchester Memorial High School, and they had to finish in the top 2 of the events they participated in. So Iris Lamoureux ended up at the Lakes Region finishing first in the 100 meter, second in the 400 meter, second in the long jump, and first in the javelin. So she'll compete in all of those tomorrow, with unfortunately the exception of the javelin. They don't host that event there. Patrick Youngs was second in the 800 meter and first in the mile. Sam Youngs was second in the mile, and Isaac Ahern was first in the discus. So want to wish them the best of luck tomorrow. That's a nice accomplishment for them to be moving forward. Also, thank you to all of the spring coaches for their time and efforts. Brian Sheehan, Dan Carey, Jenna McCormick, Brianna Barksdale, Nancy Stock, John Ramsey, Tammy Carpentier, and Leah McAuliffe. Also wanted to say a huge shout out of appreciation to Rob Cormier and the Parks and Rec grounds crew. Playing fields were always ready to go, and they look great, and really appreciate all of their efforts. Also thank you to our athletes and all of our parents for their commitment, and a special thank you to our 8th grade athletes throughout the year for their leadership and energy. They will definitely be missed. In terms of the fall, looking ahead, our fall signups were held last week. Interest was strong. We had 130 PES students signing up. The website at this time is full of information for the fall sports. If you look under the athletics tab, preseason dates and times, we have game event schedules, all the forms necessary, and spread the word. I'm hoping to get back as many forms as possible before the end of the school year. If you're looking for summer camp information, they're also available under that athletic tab as well. And the last thing is we will have sports physicals offered on Wednesday, September 6th. And again, thank you to Plymouth Pediatrics for their assistance with that. But great year overall.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. And the band, of course, they had a great time on their little trip. I heard nothing but positive rave reviews, so thank you for that. All right, privilege of the floor number 1. Welcome, everyone. Hi.
Sir, I just want to echo what you said about the morning program. Thank you so much for everything you do, because my kid would never do his homework. I don't know how you guys do, but he gets it done every week, and I'm so grateful for that. I believe this is come over person is a minimalist, and so we are, it's hard at home, so I'm very grateful. And also for the bags, my kids have a funny way of saying thank you, but they didn't stop talking about those bags for days. They were a big hit. And if you're looking for anything to do this weekend, our Plymouth kids are planning the lacrosse festival this weekend, and Plymouth represents us very well. So it's exciting, both Saturday and Sunday on that weekend. So just a little shout out for the club sports. Thank you.
Hi, Jason.
Hello. I had a problem with a vendor that the school works with. With our school program ending, I was trying to get transportation for my children to be transported home. I called the school, and this part was my fault because I didn't ask, how do I set up them to get on the bus? I just called and asked, and talked with the receptionist and asked, what's the number for the bus services? The number was provided, and also, I can find that number on the website. I called the bus services. I left a voicemail last Tuesday, and then proceeded to call them 9 times because they never returned my call, trying to get them, set up so they can take the bus home. It wasn't until I reached out to them on Facebook Messenger today that I got a response, and I was told, oh, usually the school emails us that information, and then once again talking to the front office staff, they're like, oh yeah, we generally email them in order to get that set up because they contacted me today and asked how the kids are going to get home because after school program is ending. So we can make a request to put that information on the school website to say, if
Absolutely.
you want to be use the services, please contact this front office to set that up.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I was just going to echo what Melissa said. I'm going to say it before you as well, but we've used Ask Program for many years, or whatever the variations are, and we really appreciate it at that time in the morning. Being able to get to work and have their kids who know that they're there and doing something productive and safe, and they're happy, and we really appreciate that. It's the highlight of our day.
I have one more comment too I forgot to mention. Have you all seen or heard of The Social Dilemma that's on Netflix? Is that something you've been talking about? My daughter is not allowed to watch social media. We're stressed out. We're waiting for 9th grade and stuff. But I've heard that she's going to watch that with me before we enter into that. And she won't. She's like, I'm not interested. I don't want to watch it. Because she's heard that it's pretty difficult. But I wonder if maybe the 8th graders, maybe even 7th graders would be able to watch that.
There's some talk about a whole actual movie series for next school year around literacy, social media, anxiety. So I'm working with Kim DeSalvo at the SAU to try to put that together. I think we could definitely look at the social dilemma. I think there are also some ways that we could watch snippets of it too that make it interactive.
Yeah. I would love to know any curriculum that you're sharing with them because it's a really difficult subject in our household. The people are using it, you're not, this is why, these are the risks, let's just wait. I don't think developmentally that she's there, and so trying to hold off as long as we can is really hard when all your friends are using it.
Yeah, that stuff.
So yeah, we're trying to tread lightly because it is a part of their life, but anything that you can share with us as parents would be great.
Absolutely, we have some resources.
And
there's a media-powered youth. We had media-power youth come a year ago, and we're going to have them come back again because they do a lot of education, both around citizenship and use. So.
And that would be a great connection to make with the parent advisory committee for Katie, the PAC and the elementary school. Would be great to connect.
I'm thinking they're looking at doing more of that education.
Correct.
Is their interest.
Correct. based on the last meeting I went to. All right, perfect. Is there anyone else that would like to share? I don't want to. No? Okay, perfect. Thank you. End of the year finance review.
Sure, so Dan is here tonight to kind of take you through the end of the year closeout of where you are financially and some options you have with the remainder of the funds. You have some warrant articles, like the capital improvement warrant article, where if you have remaining funds, it goes into that. So I'm going to have Dan kind of review where you're at this point.
So, thank you. Following the manifest that you're approving tonight, unspent funds in the current year, I'm going to speak in round numbers because we're not at the end of the year yet, about $370,000. And including it, add on to that the fact that we have about $15,000 in purchase orders that I think we'll be able to close out for things that, such as utility costs. We also have some substantial revenue above budget this year. And the number that I'm estimating that we'll be at year end right now is about $150,000, which would put your total current projected fund balance at about $535,000, just over $535,000. I would ask you to subtract from that as you're doing your math in your head and on paper, $50,000. The first $50,000 of any fund balance is going to go into your capital reserve per the warrant article that was approved by your voters in March, which takes you to a number of $485,000, just over that. The first thing that I would ask you to contemplate before you do anything else is the fact that during the budget season this past year, you committed the entirety of your prior retained fund balance, $293,109, to be a revenue this fall to offset taxes. So really, you're coming through the end of the year, your retained fund balance as we start the new year will be really zero. And so you could, if you wanted to, consider a motion, if you wanted to retain any portion of that $485,000 I just described, you could retain any portion up to the current calculation is $293,000. So if you want to retain the maximum, I would recommend a motion to retain the maximum amount allowable. That would be calculated as the tax rate is set in the fall. But if you were to do that, the next step would be then to consider the approximately $192,000 left over after that, whether there were some capital improvements that need to be addressed by yourself, or anything that wasn't spent in that 192 to then be added as a revenue of the fall to the 293,000 before you committed. Any questions?
So you have, in the past few years, made a motion to retain the funds.
Retain
the maximum amount.
Okay.
Yep.
So that would be the first piece I would ask you to consider.
Do we still have, I know there was a warrant article that there was a percentage that we were able to retain a certain percentage to that.
That's what this is.
Is that what
Yep.
this
So
is?
the 293 is the 2.5% that you're allowed to retain.
Yeah.
And while you bring that subject up, I would just offer that there has been a change to the RSA, and we don't have to make decisions about this tonight. The RSA was changed to allow up to 5%. But to go from that 2.5% to 5%, you have to authorize it with the voters again next March.
Yeah.
And that's not for consideration this winter when you're thinking about the warrant. But yes, the 2.5% of the net assessment you can retain.
Okay. Okay.
Now, I'm new here, so what happens if we don't retain? What does that mean?
It means two things. It means that the amount of unretained fund balance, which is considered a revenue, it reduces the amount to be raised in taxation next fall for next year's operating budget, which that's piece one. That's the most direct answer, what you asked. And the other piece of that is that you would then not have anything in terms of your savings bank or your toolkit should you have emergency expenditures next year, or should you have an unanticipated expense necessary as you build the following year's budget that you could offset with some of those funds if you retain a portion of them. So it really is a matter of, is your goal to keep the tax rate as smooth a curve as possible and have more tools in your toolkit, or are you just trying to drive it down, which can cause more significant fluctuations in your tax rate?
Right. Got it, thank you.
Sure.
And we have, for the past, I think the whole time I've been on the board, we've always done that, right? We've done that.
Correct.
As long as you've been able to retain, you have. And just the last commentary I would offer is that by committing that 293 that you had retained from last year to be a revenue, that was the exact amount to offset the growth in the tax rate. So the projection would be next year's tax rate from the elementary school impact to the town would be flat.
So I'll make a motion to retain the maximum amount allowable.
Someone want to second that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Does
Aye.
anybody have any questions? Are you okay?
I'm good, yeah.
Okay, go
That's
ahead.
the time to ask, is after every second.
Yeah, you can.
Okay,
I'm good, yeah.
all right.
Okay.
Everyone agree? Yes?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, perfect. Thank
So
you.
that was, thank you. So that, once again, working with the current projections and numbers, that would take you to about $192,000 left over.
Okay.
Which brings me to the summer projects piece. So we've been talking about.
How we're gonna spend our money.
So, I passed around a sheet to you. We've been talking about kind of a projection of getting a lot of the capital improvement projects completed while you have the funds. We're shifting a lot towards ESSER. So right now, the library is getting the design work. Once we have the design work, then we can write that into the grant to see if it's allowable for the ESSER funds. The other piece that you're possibly looking at is a restroom renovation in the middle school to change to single stalls. So that's something that is already approved, and we're looking at that design to see what that would look like to move forward with that piece. We have some paving that still needs to be done. That's in the future, not what we're asking for now. Outdoor scoreboard, storage shed, and then we'll update the capital improvement plan over the summer for the fall to see if there's anything else to be added. But since the last meeting, we had quite a weather event last week. At 3 o'clock exactly, there was a terrible rainstorm. Was it it was a thunderstorm
Hail.
right at dismissal, which was
Really
but
complicated.
during that, the
Yeah.
flagpole broke.
Oof.
So
It was severe.
yeah, it was pretty bad. So the first piece that we'd like to do is
Crazy.
replace that. And the total amount for that, including the pole plus footing, is $7,000. The other piece we'd like to look at, and just stop me if you have any questions, is moving forward with the sound system for the gymnasium. And do you want to speak to that at all?
So we have the original sound system in our gymnasium at this point, and we are about to have a new HVAC system put in and the whole space be painted, and new scoreboards, and it would be really wonderful to have a working sound system in there for events.
And you have a lot of town events here too. There's district meetings, there's town meetings, and there's always an issue with the acoustics and the sound, and it's good to have a nice sound system to kind of move
Is that the
forward
system
with
they
that.
use for the plays? Yeah, it's really old.
Yes,
It's
yes,
pretty bad.
yes.
It wasn't really good at the beginning either.
It never was a standout system.
I imagine it's hard to do the sound system for a gym.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't
They've
think
really
the
changed
true
quite a
sound
bit.
quality will ever be phenomenal, but I think we have a long way that we could get a lot better.
Yeah, we could do
very
a lot
easily.
better. It's pretty bad.
Okay, great.
So that's quite a bit, so it's at 50,000. The upper cabinets for Parks and Rec is 5,000, so that's just a replacement that needs to be done. North
Can
wing
I ask a question? We fund that?
For
Parks and
space.
Rec?
Well, it's into the building,
'Cause
yeah.
it's in the
Yeah,
building?
yep.
Okay.
North wing projectors, so that's just
The rest of
replacement.
them have been done, so that is currently on our CIP, and it would just move it off of our CIP.
So is that for the whiteboards? Or
That's the projectors onto the whiteboards.
onto- Okay, that's,
Projectors are so expensive.
Yeah.
okay.
To replace the interior window and what is that?
S1, it's a classroom in the primary wing.
With drywall,
Is that the one by the entranceway? Yeah, it's
Yep.
not a great window.
yep.
It's
It's an internal.
internal
Oh, it's an
window
internal.
in the building. It's part of what was reading recovery. You used to sort of watch kids read from inside of a space. We now use that space for other things, and it's very old too. It needs to be replaced.
The gymnasium floor refinishing, which is at $40,000, and then the all-surface cleaner for the bathrooms, which is at $9,000. A total cost of $153,500, and then you have some to give back as well.
The all-surface cleaner, that's the machine.
It's a machine,
yeah.
yeah, it's a replacement.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
what I
I was
thought.
just gonna ask that, didn't ask.
Yeah, machine.
It's not a spray
Yeah.
bottle.
Yeah, I know, I was like.
No, it's
But
not.
this cleaner could be like, cleaner,
Right.
and then, but
Right,
I was like, it
that's
must be the
funny.
machine.
All right.
Because they do use that big, they stand behind it.
Yeah, yes. So my thoughts are that it would be good if we're gonna already do the HVAC in the gym, have it painted, have new scoreboards, it makes sense to do
The sound system.
the sound system and the flooring to me. I mean, we have the money, so we might as well utilize.
How long does the flooring last?
Well, what did
11.
Jason said? At least 10 years is when they strip it down, really sand it, take off all the lines, and then build back up from there. So
So the last time we did this may have been 10-ish years, or?
I think it was
Yeah.
11 or 12.
yeah, because I've been here for 10.
We've exceeded
and it hasn't happened
the
again.
cycle.
I think it's been
It's
12
been
years.
beyond.
Great, thanks.
And the surface cleaner, is it broken now, or is it pretty?
Does not perform its job.
Which is broken.
It thinks it's doing its job.
I know all about those kinds of pieces of equipment.
So if you're comfortable with that, you can move forward with a motion to approve, and then you would give it back about 40 grand to the taxpayers.
Frank, do you want to weigh in and take a quick peek, or
On
do you
what?
want-
Right as we're at the end.
Poor guy.
What,
We're like, it's on you now.
do
Frank.
people
We're
have-
going to spend 153,000, so you might want to take a look.
Yeah,
Anybody have more questions?
yeah. So we're talking about, these items here. About, we have 192 left over, and these are about 153 to replace, all these items.
So when they replace the interior window with drywall, are they gonna make that space that was an observation room, like just a closet? Is that what it's gonna be?
We do a lot of one-on-one testing in there, so,
Yeah,
but
Fund balance.
just removes the window.
So,
Less distraction. Yeah, I get it.
Saved,
Yep.
we took the maximum,
so we've got this 192 left over,
85.
and if we spend 153,000, the remaining 40, that goes back to the taxpayer? That's how that works?
Give or
Yeah,
take
that's
a
the
few.
terminology. What it does is really, it just stays in your bank account, and it reduces the amount we raise taxes by $40,000 based on the budget that was approved in March for next year.
I see, thank you.
What's PNR?
Park and rec.
Park and Rec in the office. The gym was refinished about 12 years ago, so it's time.
Needs it.
Yeah.
Did you make decisions on the mascot for the gym?
yes,
That's in the
actually I
floor,
could
right?
announce very exciting news.
Please tell
We
me.
took a survey of all staff within the Plymouth Elementary School community, and we are the cats.
Okay.
Right. And that's going in the floor?
It's already on the floor.
Oh, sorry.
But Cubs is in a different
Cubs is
place.
in a
Yeah.
different place. Okay.
So it's
we're
been very
sticking with the
confusing.
floor.
Are we the Cubs or are we the Cats?
What were the options?
Cubs or
Cats.
Cats. But then we had lots of conversations that are not needed here about what baby bobcats actually are. Do we want to switch it all together? No. Cats or Cubs. So we're the Cats.
Got it.
All right.
So if you have a Cubs sweatshirt, a PES Cubs sweatshirt with the paw print, it's
Vintage.
now vintage. It's going to be worth money.
It looks vintage.
Like the scoreboard.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Throw it away, buy new ones next year. It's fundraiser.
Sounds good.
Do you guys have any questions?
No.
You're
No.
good with
Yes.
this?
I
You
make
wanna
a
make a motion?
motion that we approve the 153,500 towards all these noted projects.
I can second that.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love getting stuff done. Big projects makes me happy.
I just have a couple other things on the other portion. The first one, I don't know, Dan, do you want to review that on the increases in the lunches?
So every year to participate in the National School Lunch Program, as we do, which provides free and reduced breakfast and lunch for all children who qualify for the benefit, we're required to go through this process called PLE, or price lunch equity. Really what the federal government is trying to do with this exercise is ensure that the kids, or the money that the school is receiving to support the lunches and breakfasts of the kids who qualify for the benefit aren't subsidizing the kids who don't qualify for the benefit, who can afford full price. Currently, next year, the reimbursement price for lunch, for example, is going to be $3.56 from the federal government. We're charging $3 at the current. So the federal government sees that as that they're subsidizing the kids who don't qualify for the benefit. And so they would want us to come up to the same price that they're paying. However, there's a provision in the regulations that they can't require an increase on an annual basis to be more than a dime. So 10 cents. So I am asking that you consider a motion, or make a motion to consider, to increase the breakfast and lunch price by 10 cents for the next school year and keep us in compliance with those regulations.
So, clarify for me, I've heard or seen on the television, whatever, about that some places are covering the full, everybody's lunches. How did that happen?
That did happen a few years ago with COVID.
It was with COVID?
So when you say covering the full cost, are you talking about the school district or the National School Lunch Program? Because
I was thinking the school
yeah.
district.
So the National School Lunch Program during the COVID pandemic,
Yeah.
it ended June 30th, 2022. All students were considered free for both programs.
Okay. And the government gave us the additional funds to support that?
And so every child took a breakfast and lunch. It was recorded, and the National School Lunch Program paid the school district.
Okay,
That full reimbursement rate, which again is higher than we typically charge.
right,
So $3.56 per lunch, for example.
okay.
There are other, just because you asked, I have heard of the occasional school district that deal with those federal regulations.
So they've continued to fund it.
And they've funded the programs themselves. I'm not here recommending that in any shape or form.
Right.
I'm just recommending a 10-cent increase to your price for those students who don't qualify for the benefit. The price won't change, but it'll still be $0 to qualify for the free benefit, 40 cents to qualify for the reduced benefit at lunch. Breakfast is free for both free and reduced students. The state of New Hampshire pays the reduced component for breakfast.
And may I ask another quick question? Is, there was, if I recall, there were issues sometimes in having families complete that. Or is that, are
There
our
still is.
percentage?
It's always a struggle. It's even more so after COVID to get families to complete
We've
them.
taken steps to make it easier. For example,
Okay.
the application is now available online.
Okay,
And number two, we're now encouraging, we're able to get the annual letter that has to be updated with the federal income guidelines, because that has to be in the letter to families. We're able to get that letter to the schools by June to include in their early summer mailings to all families for next fall's enrollees. But
Okay.
and again, and also there's a opportunity to complete the application online, so people have trouble writing. Maybe they can type better. So we're just trying to, there have been a couple of instances where a family has called into our office. Angela Joyce and also myself handle the free and reduced application, we're able to who touch them. We've worked with a couple of families that have come in.
so
help them
to
fill out
assist
the
them
manual in the office.
in getting
Do
those
everything we
forms
can to
filled?
communicate. Anytime we're sending letters home about balances that are owed, we're encouraging people to apply at that time, because we can take applications all throughout the year.
Okay.
Anytime a family, if there's a sudden change in the work situation of a family, we can take a new application a day after a first application. We're just always doing everything we can.
So
to get
no
them.
kids are denied lunch?
So whether they qualify or not, whether they owe money or not, no kid
Kids.
can go down the lot, will be denied a meal.
Okay.
They have to have, and it's not In the old days, sometimes kids who had a high balance would get an alternative meal, a
Right.
peanut butter and jelly sandwich instead of a hot lunch.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Okay.
Every kid
Yeah,
who gets on
that's
that
what I
line, no matter what their status, no matter what and no matter what, can walk away with the full
So
line
then
meal.
you deal with that
We deal with
afterwards,
it.
with
We
the
don't-
family and
we-
trying to
yeah,
get them.
We don't
to
deal with the kids
complete
at all.
the form.
We deal with the parents or guardians
Okay.
or claiming systems if we can.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Dan, is there a, like, when you're looking at kids going through the grades, do we track, like, so the Smiths filled this out last year, we send them a pre-filled application or something
No,
for the coming year?
not a pre-filled application. I certainly have visibility through our claims management and what's called a POS or point of sale food service software that we use. I see it, I have a visual history that obviously is very restricted access of when people have applied and when they haven't, if they've been denied, if they've been approved for benefits through the student's life in SAU 48 and the family's life in SAU 48. But we don't do any sort of pre-filling or anything like that. Yeah.
It's something that you've considered every few years, and we do it all of our districts.
So I would make a motion that we increase it by 10 cents.
Breakfast and lunch by 10 cents is what I'm recommending.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of increasing?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Both breakfast and lunch?
Yeah.
Both breakfast and lunch.
Next is the August meeting. Does the 7th work for everybody? It's the first Monday. We would ask, maybe we can shift it to a little bit earlier. I don't know if that's too early or whether it's at 5 o'clock.
On the 7th? It's fine with me.
That's okay for me. Sam,
Good for
same.
now?
It works for me.
5 okay for everybody during the summer?
Yeah.
Okay. And then just real quick, we are moving towards, we've had a lot of questions about accepting alternative types of payment, whether it be with lunch or for selling sweatshirts or whatever it may be, like Venmo. Venmo's a hard no. There's a lot of issues with that, but we are going to move forward with the credit card process and having that alternative for parents to either have it connected through our Power School system for payment and for that piece. But for security reasons, we are not going through Venmo. They don't show a detailed transaction history that's needed for our accounting system. So we cannot do that. But I just want to make you aware, I know you get questions quite a bit, and unless you have some strong opposition, we won't move towards that. But we have a process to work out as far as that piece, because it's different in the school system where it's charged and everything. So we want to make sure we get that right.
Do we have a anticipated date of when that will be up and running?
Well, we just talked about it this morning, so once we
So
talk to
tomorrow.
the 7 other school boards, we're gonna see what they're, what they'd like to do.
I would anticipate we should have no problem getting it ready for the start of the next school year.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect, that's
For
awesome.
things like preschool payments, things like
Yeah.
the activity fees, you take $150 from a student outside Plymouth who wants to participate in your sports programs, things like that.
Yeah.
Credit cards
That's
like that.
Yeah, awesome, thank you for that.
If you talk to younger people, they really don't know what a checkbook is anymore.
Yeah.
They just really don't. They look at it like it's antiquated.
And that's why, and that's where the Venmo drive is coming from.
Yeah.
But that's,
They
there's
just
no
don't have
transactional
checks.
history there. It would make it impossible to recognize.
So then would the PTA be able to
Well, they
also
have-
be able to do that too?
Well, they're separate.
We have
from-
nothing to do with their finances.
Or? Okay,
Yeah, so we can't.
okay.
Yeah. All right, privilege of the floor number 2. Hi.
I have a question about the school lunch item.
Mhm.
So we are gonna be reimbursed with $3.56 rate. We currently charge $3 and upping it to $3.10. What's the average cost of a meal?
So you just say we're going to be reimbursed, you're talking about the school district gets $3.56 from the kids that qualify for free.
Yes.
All right. So the program currently operates at a loss.
Yes.
At about, I don't have the exact cost per meal in front of me, I'm sorry.
No problem.
But I can certainly give you details on the financials. I could provide you, not off the top of my head, details on the finances of the program, in terms of as a whole, but I don't have a price per meal in front of me.
Do you have a ballpark of what the loss is?
I do, so this year the program's gonna lose about $11,000. On total revenue, about 175.
And that's for all students eating, not just,
Right, that's the
Not
program,
just for your reduced
yeah,
lunch.
that's the food service program as a whole for Plymouth Elementary School.
Okay.
About 175 goes through the program entirely, and this year it'll cost about 186 to run, to provide. Excuse me, you'll figure about 175 in revenue, including the reimbursements, and cost about 186.
And every year, Jason, pretty much we run
Oh, yeah.
at a loss for the
totally understandable, and, you know,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be thought as a loss. Our kids have to eat.
Correct, right, but, so, all right.
But it has gotten better. It used to be
It-
70,000,
Yes,
80,000.
it used to be a lot.
Since we've started contracting out with a service,
Yeah.
it has.
Yeah, this is actually, so, once the contract and the service went, it went to break even, and it stayed at break even right up until this year. And what food costs and labor costs have done since the pandemic, they've thrown havoc into it.
Yeah.
11,000 is still not that much. Doesn't seem like it.
I don't have anything else.
I just wanted
Oh,
to say
yeah.
one quick thing, to please share with your front office staff how grateful for checking on our walkers Friday. That rainstorm snuck up on us and my kids got pelted on the walk home.
No.
Yeah, there were tears, so it was a little scary really suddenly, and it was so sweet to get a phone call home and check on them. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And Mr. McGlone out there,
No,
had a parent pickup, you should have seen him. Trying to hold the
Yeah.
umbrella.
felt terrible. First mom ever lost my award this year.
My kids were.
They survived, but it was like, they were rough.
It was a lot.
It was.
They cried the
All
whole way
right,
home.
perfect, so we just need a motion to go into non-public.
So moved.
So we want a second.
Yeah, second that.
All in favor of going into non-public?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you for coming.